What up, guys? Total Control 871. And today I want to know what makes something valuable. Alright, we're going to do a little bit of economy talking and blogging on our vote. We're on Voters' Eve. Please, everybody, no matter what party you belong to, which way you're going to vote, please get out and vote. God willing, I'll be there to do my part. Okay. Value. I chose our Level Up Entertainment. This is a comic shop. It is a comic and collectible shop. Inside of it, you will find a whole bunch of comics. Very cool stuff. And, yeah, I called them when I heard that DC, in a desperate bid to bolster sales, printed X amount of Batman adult comics with full frontal nudity of Batman, Bruce Wayne. Yeah, they sold out extremely quickly. I have no idea if they'll actually become valuable or not. It wouldn't be the first time that comics have reached for gimmick to bolster sales. Anyway, I am using our comic collectible shop as a comparative analogy to our economy. We're going back to early 90s. There was a toy manufacturer, or I think there might be a distributor, Playmates. Playmates is a distributor, and they distributed Star Trek Next Generation toys. I think they also did Deep Space Nine and Voyager, basically all of your Star Trek stuff, right? Right. I don't know about the classic Trek collectibles or not. Anyway, the line was doing good. Star Trek Next Generation was doing fairly well. When suddenly the line tanked. This is like when eBay was just starting to get its stride in the late 90s. I asked somebody what it was that caused the Star Trek line to tank like that, and they gave me some very interesting insider information. They said that Playmates issued a very particular Captain Picard, Jean-Luc Picard action figure, and they only made 1,701 of these Captain Picard action figures. In case you are not a Trekkie, 1701 is the registration number of the Enterprise. All the Enterprise. They might have different letters at the end of it. There's the original 1701, 1701, A, B, C, D, E. They're up to the letter E, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, although they also did Enterprise, the show Enterprise. That was an NX class starship. Anyway, point is that so they did 1701, and what they completely underestimated was the completist demographic that they cater to. It's why today's companies their apps. It's why they buy so much information from apps, various apps, all different types of apps. Doesn't make a difference what type it is, because all apps do the same thing. They collect information and they pimp out your privacy. So what Playmates didn't understand was the current at the time Star Trek Next Generation collector were completely completist oriented. I collected it, but I wasn't that much of a completist. But apparently, it ticked off a huge swath of the demographic, and next thing you know, the collections were everywhere. Like I said, I don't think eBay had really caught its stride just yet, and there were a lot of flea markets, bazaars, things like that. All of a sudden, you saw Next Generation action figures everywhere, on every table, every booth. And I asked a buddy of mine that I used to collect, I say, well, what in the world happened here? The value of the collectible plunged. I mean, if you were to go into a place like this that does have classic vintage toys in it, you would find that the action figure probably cost what it retailed for back in the early 90s, $5 or $6, and that's on a mint card. It might even be like $1 or $2 if it were uncarded, open the package open. So I asked her, what in the world caused all of that? Um, and he said, well, it was because of the 1701, the completists. They got pissed. They dumped their entire collection. What we learned from that instance was that we saw just how, let's see if I can hold this with the other hand. We saw just how far a particular demographic could be pushed before its breaking point, basically. I see this happening in many different markets. It's not just simply a toy collectible. You're going to see this in housing and all the things that go inside of a house, all the things that drive and fuel our economy, transportation, vehicles. How much can you continue to demand from the poor? I mean, not everybody has a Silicon Valley paycheck, and the prices are reaching the divide, the economic divide. It's growing by leaps and bounds. We're not talking some slow, teeny tiny continental drift here. We're talking about massive fissures opening up overnight. Okay. What we are learning more and more is that people like myself are starting to subscribe to societal abandonment. Fuck your car, fuck your home. You pushed me too far. Because in case you didn't know, the 1701 Picards, they were like super duper valuable, super duper valuable, and people couldn't afford them, and they were upset that their collections would be incomplete. So they's like, if I can't have it all, I don't want any of it. So what then happened after that was that people had begun to realize that the economy, it's going in a direction that they can't simply afford. And if you can't afford the economy, well, then simply they're going to abandon the economy, and that's exactly what I did. I am perfectly. It's got its drawbacks, but frankly, there are plus and minus in everything in life. Living in the woods is not as bad as you think it would be. A lot of people, they cling to the horror of it all, the supposed horror of it all, because currently they have a stereotype of who would live in the woods. Your cliche homeless person, your Anton Jackson from In Living Color crawls out of his cardboard box. Hopefully, I'm not muffling my microphone. Crawling out of his cardboard box, and that type of homeless person. Um, People will balk at the cost of living, and they're going to come to the realization that, what, it's just simply gotten to be too damn much, and I'm going to abandon it all. And then what's going to happen? You know, what was it? What was this guy? I think I put the link in one of the videos. Something about he's a mustachian, a saver. I forget the guy. Pete something or another was his name. He had a nice little Silicon Valley paycheck, invested everything, lived like a miser, and then retired at 30 something years old. And however, he admitted that the reason why he was able to do that is because he was so heavily invested in the stock market. And of course, the stock market is driven by mindless consumerism, which is becoming much and much less as we see our shuttered gates, in malls like this. So mindless consumerism is evaporating simply because, well, people can't really afford it, and if you can't afford it, job security isn't there. Let's not even talk about the whole hustle that is the educational system, tuition, and of course, like in the upper 90 percentile of our jobs, our different types of jobs, most of these jobs can be learned with on-the-job training. Very little is actually carried over into the workplace, from your university, from your college degree. Let's not forget, Mark Zuckerberg was nothing more than a college dropout. I mean, his Facebook was nothing more than a side project that he did while going to college for God only knows whatever else. I don't even know if he even completed that degree or not. He didn't have to complete that degree because Facebook, the information gathering from it became so valuable. But yeah, so we're living in our 1701 economy. The 1701 economy where people, they don't want to they can't afford it. They're beginning to question what they're getting. You surrender so much of your paycheck, and what exactly are you getting for it? Nothing more than a drywall box. People are living out their entire lives renting with zero equity, nothing to show for it. Um, people are people are not living happy lives, and of course our alt right, our Republican right, they're giving their base raw meat, red meat, someone to hate, someone to vilify. Humans tend to do this. They externalize their villains and their gods and their villains. These people marching toward the border, they're your enemy. These people, while true, they do indeed take a resource, but they didn't cause this problem. Very rich, wealthy people gambling on Wall Street, they caused this problem, and they have no intention of fixing it. We just saw President Trump spend $145 million for a measly 6 miles of border wall, if you want to call what was built a wall. That was $146 million, and of course, he himself brags that he doesn't pay taxes or doesn't have to pay taxes. Donald Trump doesn't contribute to the economy, so he just takes. He is a parasite. All right, guys, try to remember that as we go off into our voting tomorrow. Hopefully, I've shed some light. Oh, yeah, hyperbole. That's what I want to talk about. Um, you guys are going to have to start learning how to disseminate hyperbole, rhetoric from what is real. I believe we had down in Florida, the governor's race, Gilliam, I believe, is the black contender. Uh, what was it? Something about his white incumbent? This monkey business. I don't know. I think the liberals were just simply jumping at their shadows with the whole monkey business comment. I think you're jumping at your shadows. I think, was it in the Georgia, Stacey Adams? We got our cotton picking something or another. I think they're jumping at their shadows when they say that. I think he was just simply saying cotton picking as a way of substituting swearing on air when he knows he's in front of a camera. It's the Southern, it's South, So I think they're definitely jumping at their shadows. However, when Trump at his rally does the whole Obama draws the H, Hussein, that was dog whistle. So try to learn. Try to learn what's actual dog whistle from what is not dog whistle. You gotta think for yourselves. I know everybody's they're lazy. Their minds are atrophied. You can't just simply sit around and not question your environment, not question your everything. So prepackaged. You want everything prepackaged. Your morality prepackaged. You know. All right, guys, that's it. Get out, go, vote, do what you got to do. Trump is crazy. He's psychotic, and he will destroy America. He will leave it in a burning heap, and he'll blame you for it. So there you go. Total Control 871. The 1701 economy.